भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावतीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः इन्द्रियाणां हि चरताम् यन्मनोनुविधीयते तदस्य हरति प्रज्ञाम् वायुर्नावमिवाम्भसि तस्माद्यस्य महाबाहो गृहीतानि सर्वशः इन्द्रियाणीन्द्रियार्थेभ्यः तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता या निशा सर्वभूतानां तस्यां जागर्ति संयमे यस्यां जाग्रति भूतानि सा निशा पश्यतो मुनेः आपूर्यमाणमचलप्रतिष्ठम् समुद्रमापः प्रविशन्ति यद्वत् तद्वत्कामायं प्रविशन्ति सर्वे स शान्तिमाप्नोति न कामकामी विहाय कामान् यः सर्वान् पुमांश्चरति निःस्पृहः निर्ममो निरहङ्कारः स शान्तिमधिगच्छति. Now here we have seen, we have understood this particular thing without nasti, ashantasya kuta sukham. We just concluded with that. When you are not peaceful, you are not comfortable in life. You are not peaceful in your mind, you are not comfortable even physically. You are not comfortable anywhere in the world. When you are not peaceful in your mind, you are not comfortable with anything, including Bhagavan. Supposing Bhagavan Krishna comes to give you company, Bhagavan Krishna comes, and you are not peaceful, you can't enjoy company. You are comfortable only when you are peaceful, and you are peaceful only when you look at yourself as you are, when you look back to yourself. When you recollect yourself, back to yourself. When you recollect yourself, back to yourself. When you recollect yourself, when you collect yourself, the dissipated self, when it is collected as it were, you are peaceful. When you are peaceful, you are comfortable. You are comfortable anywhere. Just as without mental peace, you are uncomfortable anywhere in the world. with peace in your mind. You are comfortable anywhere in the world. Therefore, changing the place for comfort is a waste of time. Just because you change place, don't think you are going to be comfortable. How many times have we observed in our life, how many times have we seen that when you are in Delhi, you think if I go to Mussoorie, I'll be very happy and comfortable. And the moment you go there, you start making preparations to come back. वहाँ पर मन नहीं लगता है. It is not the place that matters. Because wherever you go, you have to live with yourself. Ultimately, you are all the time with yourself. Therefore, that self is not peaceful. Wherever you go, you are unhappy, and therefore change of place has not much to give. It may create an abhasa, it may create an illusion that you have become better. That is an illusion. And the first day you feel, oh great, अच्छा हुआ मैंने दिल्ली छोड़ दिया, मसूरी आ गया, बहुत अच्छा है. Next day it is not the same. Next day it is not the same. And again, come back. Why? Illusions can't sustain you for long. This is illusion. Now that I have left Delhi and come to Mussoorie, I am happy. To think like that is what? An illusion. What else? Can it sustain you? No. Therefore, the effort should not be to move from place to place. The effort should not be to move from object to object. People try change to comfort themselves. People try change to make themselves peaceful. They change place from place to place. They change, they move from place to place. They move from object to object. They move from friend to friend. They move from house to house. They move from food, one kind of food to another kind of food. They move from continental to intercontinental. Then what happens? They become happy. They pick up all bimariyan. You become more and more restless. If you think that movement can make you peaceful, understand, movement can only make you more and more restless. You can't expect the mental velocity, mental vega, mental rush to comfort the mind. If you think the mental rush would comfort the mind, it is an illusion. That is why Bhagavan Krishna says, discover peace within yourself and live comfortably anywhere in the world. First to find peace within. As a peaceful person, you are comfortable. You are comfortable with your husband, with your wife, with your children. You are comfortable with everything. You are comfortable with the creation. You have no war against the world. You are peaceful. In fact, at one place Shastra says, when you are happy, you are a good person. The best comes out of a happy, peaceful person. The worst comes out of a frustrated man. A man who is frustrated can become violent. Frustrated, become violent. And therefore, Krishna says, in order to live in comfort, in order to live comfortably even in a simplest setup, to live comfort, because we don't know, destiny may put you in a very simple setup. Right now you may be living in really a huge house where tomorrow we don't know, you may have to live in one-room apartment. Because that huge house is one's father-in-law's. But then you don't want to live with father-in-law. You want to live only with your husband. And the father-in-law being very pragmatic, he says, if you don't want to live with us, then you better go out and live. Then you have to hire a flat. And how many room flat can you hire? One room apartment. One room apartment. But if you are peaceful, you can be happy, comfortable even in one room apartment. Comfort is not what we want. Mental peace is what you want. And that will take care of comfort. Don't say it is wrong. It is a wrong equation to make. Take care of comforts and they will take care of your peace. It is a wrong equation. Take care of your inner peace and that will take care of the outer comfort. Take care of mental peace, that will take care of the physical comfort. But it is wrong to say take care of physical comfort and it will take care of mental peace. That's a bluff. That's a bluff. Nobody can become peaceful just because of lot of comfort. Anyway, this we have completed. Therefore, and how to find peace? We don't go in search of peace, because that is one thing for which you don't have to search. Shanti is like, it's like, where do you go in search of silence? You want to see silence, you want to feel silence. Where do you go? At which place? The silence is not at a place. You start making noise, you are silent. Stop making noise, there is silence. All sounds are born in silence and then disappear in silence. Where do you go in search of silence? You don't have to go in search of silence, you don't have to go in search of peace also. Because that is one's nature. Whenever you avoid unnecessary thoughts, you are peaceful. What else is Shanti? One is peaceful, oneself minus disturbing thoughts. Minus, redundant ambitions, avoidable greed, avoidable jealousies, avoidable anger, avoidable ambitions, minus all those avoidable stuff. What are you? You are peaceful. Minus the avoidable, you are peaceful. Hey, all these things are avoidable and they deserve to be avoided. Inner you have avoidable, what we call, unnecessary anger, unnecessary hatred for somebody, unnecessary dislike for somebody. And all the time dislike. Dislike means, it becomes stronger. And then you go on thinking about the person whom you don't like. Then you go on meditating upon that person. Morning you get up with the memory of that person. Go through the day in memory of that person. And you fall asleep remembering that person. One gets confused whether you really dislike him or like him. I mean, if you dislike him, why are you remembering him all the time? Why are you remembering all the time? Morning till evening, you are only thinking of that person whom you don't like. Therefore, minus the avoidable thoughts. Indeed, every mind is full of avoidable thoughts. Every mind is full of avoidable emotions. Mind minus, when you minus avoidable, if you avoid all those things, then what are you? Peaceful. Therefore, where do you go in search of peace? You don't have to go in search of peace. You don't have to go in search of peace. You have to have control over yourself first. Avoid the avoidable. Thus, avoid the undesirable. Avoid the undesirable. Avoid the avoidable. Don't go on living with the avoidable. Don't go on cherishing the avoidable. Don't go on promoting the avoidable. Don't go on strengthening the avoidable. When the avoidable become promoted, strengthened, etc., they'll make you weak. When the avoidable becomes stronger, then the person becomes weaker. They take over. When the weeds become strong, then the flower plants become weak. Therefore, the best thing is, don't go in search of peace. All that man requires is himself. He has to just edit his thinking, avoid the avoidance. This is what we call self-control. It is this self-control that is the topic of this verse. It's a very beautiful verse. Try to go through it with leisure in your mind. Indriyanam, the sense organs. In the last class we saw that sense organs we use not only for perception, but we also use them for deriving some pleasure out of the objects. I use the eyes to see the form, and I use the eyes to derive the pleasure out of it. I use the ears to hear, and by hearing I want to derive some pleasure. We always want to derive pleasure from what we see, from what we hear, from what we taste, touch, smell. So the sense organs are not only the avenues of sense perception, they become the means of not only perception, they become the means of pleasure. Sense organs become not only the means of perception, but also the means of pleasure. Then man is all the time going after the sense objects. So he wants to keep his eyes bright so that he can see and enjoy. He wants to keep his ears and taste and touch and smell, etc. bright so that he can keep enjoying the world. Keep enjoying. And as he grows older and older, his eyes become, the sight fades out. He can't hear, he can't digest anything, he can't taste and digest, he loses life, he loses interest in life. He becomes udas. Why he can't? He becomes depressed. Why he can't enjoy it? Therefore, life slowly moves towards frustration. Life slowly moves towards disappointment, unhappiness, helplessness. And therefore, here Krishna says, hey, this is due to ignorance. Man always wants to derive something out of he always wants to get some pleasure from the world. But he doesn't have to derive that satisfaction from the world, because he is a column of satisfaction. The self is a column of peace. The self is a column of fullness. Like Samudra. I am using this example because we are going to have that verse. Right now I have to, from now onwards, I have to prepare you to think in terms of Samudra. Our existence is like the Samudra. Therefore, a Samudra, the ocean, an ocean need not derive its expanse from the waves. Should the ocean derive its expanse from the waves? Should it become bigger and bigger by means of the waves? Should it collect all the waves to feel big? Should the ocean collect more and more waves to feel big and vast? I say it is within the vastness of the sea that the waves also exist. It is in the vastness of the self that the whole creation exists. It is within the vastness of our being, the consciousness. It is within the vastness of consciousness that the whole world exists. And therefore here Krishna says, understand all that you want to derive from the world is naturally yourself, is effortlessly yourself. All that you want to derive from the world is choicelessly yourself, and therefore you discover yourself by way of avoiding the avoidable. There is something to avoid in the mind. Once you avoid the avoidable in the mind, then you have avoided the avoidable outside also. Because the whole life springs from your thinking. The life springs from thinking. The routine springs from your thinking. Every mind is Gangotri. You know Gangotri? Gangotri, he is the source of Ganga. Life is like Ganga and the mind is like Gangotri, the source of Ganga. If the Gangotri is clean, the whole Ganga is clean. If the mind is clear, life is clear, the mind is clean, life is clean. If the mind is free from the avoidable, then the Gangaji also is, the life is also. If the mind is free from the avoidable, then the life is free from the avoidable. And therefore Krishna says, don't unnecessarily try to bring about changes in the world, you bring about changes in your thinking. What we need is editing in our thinking, not merely changing lifestyles. That's nothing great. Changing from one way of dressing to another way of dressing is not really, doesn't amount to growth. Does it amount to growth? From an Indian way of dressing, you move to the Western way of dressing. Is it growth? Is it growth? Or you move from the Western way of dressing to the Indian way of dressing. Is it growth? Or you move from the South Indian way of dressing to Punjabi way of dressing. Is it growth? This is nothing. This is all just, these are all just a way out of one's inner boredom. When you feel bored, you look for a change. There's nothing great about it. It's a very commonplace strategy. It is age-old strategy of human beings. They change, they look for a change of place. They look for a change of food. They look for a change of friend also. They look for some kind of change when you feel bored. And when that boredom goes, you come back to the old. You see? You move to the Western dress, थोड़े दिन के लिए बहुत अच्छा लगा. Then बाद में all the friends fail to recognize you. Then you start losing friends. When you start losing friends, then you start thinking, my God, it's not worth having this dress. Then again you come back to the same old dress. Is it a big thing? This is how we waste time. This is what is called great lifestyle. What Krishna is telling is, just changing one's style of dress or food, this is nothing. What we need is change in our thinking. Changing, moving from the wrong to the right thinking. Moving from the avoidable thinking to the right thinking. That is called self-control. Indriyanam hi charatam. Man living in this world, seeing the world, when a man sees the world, and his mind also, yan manaha, the mind, anuvidhiyate. When the mind blindly follows the impulses. When your mind, when your attention, when your mind blindly follows the impulses. Because impulses are there in perception. When you are living in life, man is full of impulses. Impulses means what? He is vulnerable to all the wrong thinking and wrong deeds. Like, I'll give you what is an impulse and what is self-control. I want you to hear this. To tell a lie, you're always prone to liable. You feel like telling a lie. That is swabhavika. It's an impulse to tell a lie. Why tell the truth? Let me tell a lie. If I'm telling a lie, if it brings me some material dividend, if it can give me little more money by telling a lie, then I tell a lie. This is called an impulse. And somebody comes in the way of, somebody makes you feel little uncomfortable, then you become angry. That is called impulse. You become intolerant. That intolerance is what? Impulse. I want you to hear it. I know it is tough to hear. And somebody gets more money than you, then you feel jealous. What is that? Impulse. So effortlessly. Somebody gets more money than you, feel jealous. Somebody doesn't look like the way you want him to look like, then you feel you dislike. These are all impulses. Jealous, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsa. And then you see something attractive and you fall in love with it. Without thinking twice, fall in love. Oh, I like it. And then afterwards, for the next few days, you go on dreaming of, oh, that. What is that? Impulse, moha. To fall in love with eyes closed, you fall in love. That is what is called? Fall in love. What is it called? Impulse. Anger. Very, very impulsively becoming angry, impulsively jealous, impulsively hateful, impulsively reactive, impulsively violent. This is all called impulse. And therefore, the whole life is nothing but the manifestation, expression of one's impulses. It's amazing. The illiterate are impulsive, even the educated are impulsive. They are equally impulsive when it comes to impulse. They may present themselves in a very, very sophisticated, in a very, what we call, well-dressed, with great manners, all that. But in their thinking they are as impulsive as the illiterate. Therefore, education that is meant to bring us survival need not give us the kind of mind. Impulses, mere education need not correct the impulses. This bread-winning education, empirical education itself need not remove the impulses. A person may be well educated and very angry, very highly educated and very jealous, very highly educated and very hateful, very highly educated and very reactive, very highly educated and very miserly, very highly educated and full of impulses. Possible or impossible? Possible. A person may be highly educated. He may be educated in very, very recognized universities. He may be coming from Oxford or Cambridge or some American universities. So what? So what? Do you think that just empirical information is an answer to impulses? Do you think these impulses are so fragile? Do you think these impulses, it is these impulses, in fact, the entire world history is nothing but the history of human impulses. For me, that's it. What is Mahabharata? It is an expression of human impulses. You may at best say it is a tug of war between, it's a war between impulses and reasoning. Okay. Even then it is the same. What is really Ramayana? It is all expression of impulses. What is World War I? Impulses. Play of human impulses. Second World War, play of human impulses. And what is going to be the Third World War? Good impulses. Krishna says, you will find peace when you overcome your impulses. Don't toe the line drawn by the impulses. Don't play to the tune of the impulses. What did I say? What did I say? Don't play to the tune of outsiders. When you are not impulsive, you are a sage. You are very, very peaceful, minus impulses. You overcome one impulse, you find the flood of peace in your mind. Swamiji, are you exaggerating? I am not qualified to exaggerate. I can only call spade a spade, Vasitnai. I don't know how to see a rabbit and call it an elephant. I haven't learned that. The scriptures never taught me how to see a rabbit and call it an elephant. Scriptures only teach, call rabbit a rabbit, an elephant, spade a spade. You control one impulse, please. You find how blessed you feel. One impulse. Supposing you have an impulse to hurt, you control it. You feel very happy. And there is nobody, then you feel nice. You are not hurt. Sometimes, somebody says something, immediately you don't hit back, you hurt back. You don't hit back, you hurt back. Even though the other person has not hurt anything, just आप बहुत देर से आ गए, मार्केट गए थे, आप थोड़ा देर से आए. Why every elderly person has a right to ask that question? Mother-in-law says, Bahu, why are you coming so late? What is wrong in that? The Bahu says, हमारा मर्जी है. हर चीज का कोई समाधान देना पड़ता है. All the time you are spying on me. You have been only counting how many minutes I have been out. आपको और कुछ काम नहीं, except counting the minutes. What is that? What is that? Hurting. Unnecessary. Then the mother-in-law says, sorry. कोई बात नहीं. अच्छा लगता है किसी को भी hurt करना, whether mother-in-law hurting the daughter-in-law or the daughter-in-law hurting the mother-in-law. In fact, hurting is the ugliest thing in this world. In Uttarakashi, we had a small little conference. Asked a few people called satsang. Do you know the topic? What is the right definition of Kaminappa? You understand what is Kaminappa? What is the right definition of meanness? Do you know what is the right definition? Hurting without reason and exploiting in helplessness. You exploit a man when he is in a helpless situation. मजबूरी का फायदा उठाना और for no reason giving hurt. You hurt the weak. You hurt the helpless. You hurt the weaker. Why? That's meanness. That's being mean. Like these people came all the way from Pakistan and took the lives of, so many hundreds of people. What is it? Just being mean. They didn't hurt you. They didn't do anything to you. They just came over. These people are having really some party, just enjoying life. And they came and just really killed them down, just shot them down. What is it? Violence, all right, but what is it? It's meanness. It's meanness. And if a man is carrying that meanness in his mind, will he get shanti? No. Impulses come in the way of our shanti. Here Krishna says, Yanmanona vidhiyate. When the mind falls in line with the impulses, and look at the second line, Tadasya, then his. Tat, then his. That person. A person whose mind falls in line with the impulses. A man whose mind does not resist impulses, but promotes impulses, doesn't control impulses, but falls in line with them, goes with them. Tadasya harati prajnam. A person whose mind falls in line with impulses, all his wisdom is robbed away. Harati means rob, prajna means wisdom. You lose all your clarity when you go with the impulses. When you move with the impulses, you lose all the clarity, all the culture, all the sanity. You lose the sanity, clarity, mental peace. In fact, you lose the most beautiful things in life. The inner peace is lost. The inner sanity is lost. The inner reasoning is lost. All the education, what the education is supposed to give me, it doesn't give me. All that I have learned in the name of culture, spirituality, just deserts me. Culture deserts me. Peace deserts me. Reasoning deserts me. Everything deserts. Everything leaves me. All the good things leave me when I fall in love with the impulses. Tadasya harati prajnam. Vayuhu navam iva ambhasi. Like even a blizzard or a cyclone robs the ship away from its track and then puts them on the rocks. Vayuhu means cyclone, breeze. A strong wind is called Vayu. Navam means a ship or a boat. Iva, like ambhasi, in the waters. How a boat can be robbed away from its track and then it can be made to hit against the rocks, it can sink, it can get sunk. You see? Now there are two things. One is a boat, the other is a cyclone. And the boat, there can never be a sea sailing without having to face the breeze, the wind. Okay? I want you to hear this. Don't imagine, just hear. When you have to sail, is it going to be a smooth sailing? When you sail in the sea, you have to, not you may have to, definitely you do come across strong winds. If you don't come across strong winds, during your sailing, you are lucky. But if you do come across strong winds, then that is expected anyway. That is expected. Therefore, if the boat is strong and resists the strong wind, it can reach the goal. And if the boat is weak and the boatman is stupid, is timid, if the boatman doesn't know how to steer the boat off the strong wind and then towards the target, towards the goal, if he doesn't know how to steer it, then he is going to sink, he is going to drown. Therefore, this is a problem. There is a boat sailing in the sea and there is a strong wind. Here we have a mind and there are impulses. Impulses are like strong winds. Impulses are like strong winds. And mind is like the boat through which you want to reach the goal of peace. Your mind is the boat. And you have boarded the boat and you are sailing in the boat to reach your desired goal of peace. You want to use your mind, to get happiness in life, to get freedom in life, to get fulfillment in life, You want to use yourself to get fulfillment in life. Therefore, your mind is like the boat and you are riding in the boat, sailing in the boat. And what do you come across? What do you confront? The strong winds, or the strong currents. And what are those strong currents? Impulses. If the boat is not strong, the impulses simply, the mind is simply robbed of its wisdom. The mind is sunk. The mind is sunk. The mind gets drowned in sorrow. There the boat gets sunk in the water. Here the mind gets drowned in sorrow. If it can't resist impulses. If it falls in line, if it simply slaves the impulses, if it becomes a slave of the impulses, then what will the impulses do? Drown the mind in sorrow, rob the mind of its wisdom, rob the mind of its reasoning, rob the mind of its clarity, rob the mind of its culture, rob the mind of everything beautiful in it. And therefore here Krishna says, if you have to protect yourself, in fact you have to protect yourself from your mind. Protect yourself from your impulses. That's what I mean. Protect yourself. Guard yourself against your mind. Guard yourself against your impulses. Therefore, don't accuse of the other's impulses. Don't accuse the other, because the other person's impulses are a lesser problem to you, whereas your own impulses are a bigger problem. The other person's impulses also can really step on your toes, that's a different matter. But the major problem is your own impulses. Your own impulses. Hey Rama. Therefore Krishna is saying, take care of your impulses. There is flood of peace. Avoid the jealousy, avoid dislike, avoid anger, unnecessary anger. Avoid all those things. Keep your mind free of all the avoidables. Keep the mind free. The mind free from all the avoidables. What is it? Peaceful mind or... Supposing the mind has all the impulses plus 1 more million rupees. Will it become peaceful? The mind has all the impulses plus 1 more million. Will it make a difference? A mind has all the impulses plus 10 more millions. Swamiji, be little generous. Okay, the mind with all the impulses plus another $1 billion. Okay? Will it make a difference? The impulses will only become more and more sharp. Impulses become sharper and sharper, and you will be getting into deeper and deeper problems. With 1 billion coming on a platter, you not only fail to control the impulses, you come to conclude there is no need to control any impulse. Hey Rama. And therefore, nothing matters in life as much as self-control. Self-control makes a difference in life. Self-control makes a difference. And therefore, we have self-control as the tapas. Krishna advises self-control. Okay, this is all. Therefore, when you have self-control, now coming back to the point, self-control guarantees mental peace. And don't say, Swamiji, we all have self-control. No. Self-control means, do you know, you have control at the level of thinking. Self-control is not merely just presenting yourself as a very acceptable, educated and sophisticated individual. Rich and famous individual. That's nothing. That doesn't make any difference. That will not make a difference in life. But what can make a difference in our life is self-control. Is it something that can be done like that? In fact, the scriptures say, live your whole life in order to... In fact, what is Vanaprastha Ashrama? It is an ashrama for self-control. Clear? I hope I have conveyed it. It's called tapas. Next verse. Tasmat yasya mahabaho nigrihitani sarvashaham indriyani indriyarthebhyah tasya prajna pratishthitam. In order to control impulses, now one may, we get into all kinds of conclusions. Is it ever possible to have self-control? Everybody comes up with this thought. Swamiji, it's very difficult to have self-control. If it is difficult, so what? As long as it is necessary. What is it that we require? What is food? Difficult, easy, or necessary? Is it a necessity or is it something difficult? Even if it is difficult, so what? If it is a necessity, I must go for it. Did you hear that? What if it is difficult? If it is a necessity, I must go for it. If it is a lifesaver, like there are so many life-saving drugs but very expensive, don't you buy them? We buy them. We buy them. Is not self-control a lifesaver? Doctor says, stop drinking, otherwise you will be dead. He says, I can't control. Now, which is the lifesaver now? If you have no self-control, and if you continue to drink, you will be dead. Therefore, stop drinking and you will continue, you will be alive. Now, what is the lifesaver now? Sometimes drugs may be lifesavers, and many times, more often, self-control is the lifesaver. Please understand. Sometimes drugs may be lifesavers, medicines may be lifesavers, but more often it is the self-control that is the lifesaver. It is the self-control that saves life, that saves lives. It is the self-control that would save many lives. Hitler with self-control, so many lives would have been saved. Those terrorists who came to Bombay with self-control, so many lives would have been saved. Are you able to follow? I want you to understand, self-control is what we need. Self-control is what we need more than food. Self-control is what we need more than anything else in life. And therefore here Bhagavan says, don't underestimate it. Look at the second verse. Tasmat, therefore. Krishna says, don't call it difficult, don't call it impossible. It is difficult, but it is necessary. Now what will you do? It may be difficult, but it is necessary. You know, a person is overweight, doctor says, please go for a walk, and he says, it is very difficult. Doctor says, what can I do for that? What can I do? Hey, it is difficult, I understand, it is difficult. You better go for it. Better go for it. Sometimes one has to pull up oneself. This is called discipline. Discipline gives us more happiness than lot of pizzas and etc. etc. Discipline goes a long way. And therefore here it says, Tasma, therefore self-control may be difficult, but it is necessary. You cannot postpone it, you cannot put it off, you cannot even just ignore it. Why? Because it is the self-control that can guarantee you mental peace. Self-control can guarantee you peace in your mind, peace in your heart, peace in your soul. It can help you enjoy existence, enjoy living. Minus self-control, lack of self-control, then the mind will be in botheration, you will be bothered, and when you are bothered inside, then you can't enjoy living. Therefore Krishna says, it may be difficult, but it is necessary. Tasma, therefore, yasya, whose? Mahabaho, hey Arjuna. Arjuna is called Mahabaho, the mighty. Look at this. You know, this is what is called in a kind of a satire. Kind of a satire. So it is being spherical. Means what? Hey, there is no use of being mighty armed Arjuna. Your might lies not in killing others. Your might lies in having self-control. Able to follow? Yes, another few minutes. Might lies in self-control. The one who controls his anger He is no less mighty than the one who conquers. He is no less mighty than the Alexander who conquers. Whose might is really? Who is mightier? Is Alexander or the one who controls his anger? Who is mighty? In fact, controlling one's anger is the might. Therefore, here Krishna addresses Arjuna. Hey Arjuna, you are Mahabahu, you are almighty, you are mighty armed. You are mighty armed, all right. You are a great warrior, all right. But you will be a greater warrior if we can control your impulses. You will be a greater warrior.
Sometimes people say, get it out of your system.
That is all. What is getting out of your system? What does it mean? People simply repeat what others say. Get the thing out of your system. What does it mean? Means control it. That's it. Supposing you are feeling angry inside, and then you say, then bring it out and pounce on the person and beat him up and get the system up. Is that what you mean? That means afterwards you will not be angry at all?
That's when it will be happy.
No. Supposing the other person is stronger. Supposing the other person is stronger and he is more angry than you had it, and therefore you better don't experiment with that. Because the impulses need to be controlled. Control it. I am telling you one thing, and this is, you must note down. Self-control is also self-expression. Understand? Self-control is also self-expression. It is not really self-control is not non-expression. You are using your will to control yourself. And whenever you are using your will to accomplish something, it is self-expression. It is a wise man's a wise way of self-expression. The other is an impulsive way of self-expression. You feel like angry, like a donkey feels like kicking, and it kicks. Is it self-expression? It is a donkey's way of self-expression. But supposing if there is a donkey which feels like kicking, and then the better sense prevails, it says, no, it's wrong. It's wrong to hurt somebody, and it controls that impulse to kick. What is it? It is a wise donkey. Self-control is a wise man's way of self-expression. It is not suppression, it is self-control. When you see the need for it, then it is no longer suppression. When you see the need for it and control it, then it is self-control, it is tapas. It is tapas, because you see the need for it. Supposing you don't decide to control yourself, somebody tries to silence you and you become silent, then you feel suppressed, choked, suffocated. But if you decide, well, it is wrong, and you see the need for self-control and you control, then what is it? Is it self-suppression or self-control? Self-control. Why? Because you do it by your choice. And you see the need for it, and therefore it is a wise approach. Therefore, when you control yourself, is it an expression or not? Putting the brakes on the car, is it a part of driving or not? Putting the brakes on the car, is it a part of driving or not? Putting the brakes on the car is also a part of driving. Not to express an impulse, to control it, is also a part of self-expression. Why do you think control is self-suppression Self-control is self-suppression and taking the impulses out of your system. I don't know what it means. It is just one of those mad phrases that makes rounds in the society. Get it out of your system. What is this get it out of your system? I say if it is already in your system, how are you going to get it out of it? It will go only on the paya. See? It will go only on the final paya. Therefore, these are the things that need to be controlled. There is nothing wrong. Please don't look down upon self-control. It is a self-control that guarantees you mental peace, that guarantees you your freedom, that guarantees you physical health, that makes you a very acceptable individual with whom others can live. How can you live with a person who has no self-control? Clear? Therefore, now we'll just conclude it. We'll see next class what Krishna says. Don't complain that self-control is difficult. Don't say it may be difficult, but it is necessary. And that is, putting on growth means successfully containing impulses. That is growth. We'll continue. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaja Purnameva Vajishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Hari Om.